Let me tell you something that most people never realize about success, productivity, and personal growth. The most powerful piece of technology you will ever own is not your phone, your laptop, or some artificial intelligence tool. The most powerful system you will ever operate is the one sitting between your ears right now. Your brain is the most advanced software system ever created. And just like any powerful software, it can be programmed, upgraded, optimized, or completely misused. For most of my life, I've studied how successful people think. I've worked with millions of people in more than 80 countries, and I discovered something fascinating. The difference between high performers and average performers is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not luck. The real difference is how they program and operate their mental software. Now let me ask you a question. If your brain is the most powerful software you will ever run, who is programming it right now? Is it you, or is it the environment around you? I want you to think about that for a moment. And while you're thinking about it, go ahead and write your answer in the comments below. Do you believe you are consciously programming your mind, or do you feel like life is programming it for you? Because here's the truth. If you are not deliberately programming your mind for success, confidence, discipline, and growth, then something else is programming it by default. Your brain is not neutral. Your brain is constantly absorbing instructions. Every conversation, every video, every thought, every habit, every experience is writing code into your mental operating system. And the amazing thing is this. You can rewrite that code. You can upgrade your brain software. You can dramatically increase your productivity, confidence, creativity, and decision-making ability simply by learning how to program your mind the right way. Over the years, I discovered that your brain operates on a very simple principle. Repetition creates programming. Whatever you repeat emotionally and frequently becomes installed as mental software. If you repeatedly think, I can't do this, your brain installs a limitation program. If you repeatedly think, I'll try, your brain installs hesitation. But if you repeatedly think, I will find a way, your brain installs problem solving. Your brain doesn't judge the instructions you give it. It simply installs them. Think of it like this. Imagine you bought a brand new computer. The hardware is incredible, the processor is powerful, the memory is huge. But if the software is outdated, corrupted, or poorly designed, the computer performs badly. The same thing happens with people. Many people have extraordinary mental hardware, but their mental software is filled with doubt, fear, procrastination, and negative conditioning that was installed years ago. And here's an important fact that most people never hear. Almost all of your core mental programming was installed before the age of 10. Think about that. Before you even understood how the world worked, your brain was absorbing beliefs about money, success, confidence, relationships, and personal ability. Children don't question instructions. They install them. If a child hears you're not good enough times, that program becomes part of their identity. If a child hears you're capable of amazing things, that becomes their operating system. But here is the most powerful discovery I ever made about the human mind. Your programming is not permanent. Your brain is plastic. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. It means your brain can rewire itself throughout your entire life. Every new thought creates a neural pathway. Every repeated thought strengthens that pathway. And every emotional thought installs it faster. In other words, the thoughts you think today are literally shaping the physical structure of your brain. Now that should excite you, because it means no matter what your past programming has been, you can rewrite it. You can install new software. You can upgrade your thinking. You can transform how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. And when your beliefs change, your actions change. When your actions change, your results change. Let me share something powerful with you. Highly successful people are not necessarily smarter than everyone else, but they are extremely careful about what they install into their mental software. They monitor their thoughts. They feed their minds with positive, constructive, forward-moving ideas. They ask better questions. And the quality of your life is determined largely by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Average performers ask questions like, why does this always happen to me? Why am I unlucky? Why is this so difficult? But high performers ask different questions. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I solve this? What is the opportunity here? Your brain is a problem-solving machine. When you ask a question, your brain immediately begins searching for answers. If you ask negative questions, your brain will produce negative answers. If you ask empowering questions, your brain produces empowering solutions. And that is the beginning of mastering your brain software. The first upgrade you must install is awareness. Most people go through life completely unaware of the thoughts running in their minds. They operate on automatic mental programs that were written years ago. But the moment you begin observing your thoughts, you gain control over them. I want you to start noticing something today. Notice the voice in your head. Notice the language it uses. Is it encouraging you or limiting you? Does it say, I can handle this? Or does it say, this is too hard? Because that voice is not random. That voice is your internal programming speaking. And here's the good news. You can change it. You can rewrite the internal dialogue that shapes your life. One of the most powerful techniques I've ever used and taught to millions of people is the deliberate use of positive self-instruction. Instead of saying I can't, you say I can. Instead of saying I'm not ready, you say I am learning and improving. Instead of saying this is impossible, you say there must be a way. At first it may feel unnatural, but remember this, every program feels unfamiliar when you first install it. Repetition installs belief. When you repeat empowering thoughts again and again, they begin to replace the old programs. And over time, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your brain starts working for you instead of against you. You begin noticing opportunities instead of obstacles. You start taking action instead of hesitating. You begin believing in possibilities you once ignored. And that's when your life begins to change. But the truth is, upgrading your brain software requires one more critical step. You must control the input. Your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. If you plant fear, fear grows. If you plant doubt, doubt grows. But if you plant ideas of confidence, possibility, discipline, and purpose, those grow too. So the question becomes, what are you feeding your mind every day? Are you feeding it negativity, distraction, and random noise? Or are you feeding it ideas that make you stronger, smarter, and more capable? Because what goes into your mind determines what comes out of your life. And once you understand that principle, you realize something powerful. You are the programmer of your own brain. Not your past, not your environment, not other people's opinions. Let me continue with something that completely changed the way I approached my own thinking many years ago. Once I realized that my brain operates like software, I understood something critical. Software improves through updates. The same is true for your mind. If you want better results in your life, you must install better mental updates every single day. Now here's something fascinating. Your brain is designed for efficiency, not for success. It builds habits so it can conserve energy. Once a thought pattern becomes familiar, your brain will repeat it automatically because it requires less effort. That means if you have spent years thinking thoughts like I'll start tomorrow, I'm not ready, or this is too difficult. Those thoughts have become automated programs. But the same principle works in your favor when you learn to use it correctly. When you deliberately install productive habits of thinking, your brain begins to automate success behaviors. I want to share with you one of the most powerful upgrades you can install into your brain software: clarity of direction. Your brain performs best when it has a clear target. Without a goal, your mind drifts. With a goal, your brain activates problem-solving systems that you didn't even know existed. In psychology, this is often referred to as the reticular activating system. It's a filtering system in your brain that determines what information gets your attention. When you set a clear goal, your brain begins noticing opportunities related to that goal everywhere. Let me give you a simple example. The moment someone decides they want to buy a specific car, suddenly they start seeing that car everywhere. On the road, in parking lots, in advertisements. The car was always there, but their brain was not programmed to notice it. Your goals work exactly the same way. When you clearly define what you want, your brain begins scanning the environment for ideas, resources, and opportunities that can help you achieve it. That's why one of the most powerful habits you can develop is writing down your goals every single day. I've practiced this for years. Every morning, I write my major goals on paper as if they have already been achieved. This simple exercise programs the brain with direction and purpose. And something remarkable begins to happen. Your mind starts organizing your thoughts around solutions instead of confusion. Now let me share the second upgrade that dramatically improves your brain software: mental nutrition. Just as your body becomes the food you eat, your mind becomes the information you consume. If you spend hours every day consuming negative news, gossip, distractions, and meaningless content, you are installing low-quality software into a very powerful system. But if you feed your brain with books, ideas, learning, and positive mental stimulation, you are upgrading your thinking capacity. I made a decision early in my life that changed everything. I committed to becoming a lifelong student. I began reading at least 1 hour every single day. And here is an interesting fact. If you read just 1 hour per day in your field, you will become one of the most knowledgeable people in that field within a few years. Think about that. Just 1 hour. That small daily investment compounds into extraordinary intellectual power. And remember this, every new idea you learn becomes new software for your brain. Now here is the third upgrade that most people overlook, but it has enormous power. Environment. Your brain is constantly influenced by the people around you. Human beings are highly social creatures, and our thinking patterns tend to mirror the people we spend time with. If you spend time with people who complain, criticize, and doubt everything, your brain will slowly install those same patterns. But when you surround yourself with people who think about growth, solutions, and progress, your brain begins adapting to that higher level of thinking. One of the smartest decisions you can make is to spend more time around people who inspire you to think bigger. Ask yourself this question honestly. Do the people around me encourage my growth, or do they reinforce my limitations? Your answer to that question reveals a lot about the current programming of your mind. Now let's talk about another critical element of brain software improvement, discipline. Many people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline is punishment or restriction, but discipline is actually mental freedom. When your brain is trained to follow through on commitments, you eliminate internal conflict. Your mind becomes clear, focused, and decisive. Every time you complete something you said you would do, you strengthen a powerful program in your brain called self-trust. Self-trust is one of the most valuable psychological assets you can ever develop. When you trust yourself, your confidence rises. When your confidence rises, your actions become stronger. When your actions become stronger, your results improve. And it all begins with small promises you keep to yourself. If you decide to wake up earlier, do it. If you decide to read daily, do it. If you decide to work on your goals for 30 minutes, do it. Every completed action is like installing a new confidence program inside your brain. Let me share another fascinating fact. The mind. Your brain responds strongly to visualization. When you vividly imagine achieving a goal, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways as if the event were actually happening. This is why top athletes use visualization before competitions. They mentally rehearse success. They see themselves performing with confidence and precision. And this mental rehearsal programs the brain for improved performance. You can use the same technique in your own life. Spend a few minutes each day imagining your ideal future. Imagine yourself achieving your goals. Imagine solving problems effectively. Imagine becoming the person you want to be. The clearer and more emotional your visualization becomes, the more powerful the programming effect on your brain. Now I want to give you another upgrade that can dramatically improve your mental software. Replace reaction with reflection. Most people react emotionally to situations. Something goes wrong and their brain immediately jumps into frustration, blame, or stress. But highly effective people pause. They think. They ask themselves one powerful question: what is the most intelligent response here? That one question activates the higher thinking centers of your brain. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin responding strategically. And when you practice this habit consistently, something remarkable happens. Your mind becomes calmer. Your decisions become clearer. And you gain a reputation as someone who handles challenges with intelligence and composure. Now here is something extremely important. Upgrading your brain software is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. Just like technology evolves, your thinking must evolve too. You must constantly expose your mind to new ideas, new perspectives, and new challenges. Growth happens when your brain is stretched beyond its comfort zone. And that leads us to one of the most powerful mental upgrades of all, embracing discomfort. Most people avoid discomfort because it feels unpleasant. But discomfort is the birthplace of improvement. Every time you learn a new skill, push beyond your fears, or attempt something difficult, your brain builds new neural connections. Those connections increase your capability. In other words, temporary discomfort produces permanent upgrades. Highly successful people understand this principle. They don't run from challenges. They deliberately seek opportunities that force them to grow. They understand that every challenge is a chance to upgrade their mental software. Now I want you to think about something for a moment. If your brain becomes stronger every time you challenge it, then challenges are not obstacles. They are upgrades. And when you start seeing life that way, your entire perspective changes. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin asking, what upgrade is this challenge trying to give me? That shift in thinking alone can transform how you approach problems, opportunities, and personal growth. And in the final part, I'm going to reveal the most powerful daily brain programming routine I've ever discovered. A simple set of practices that can dramatically increase your focus, confidence, productivity, and long-term success if you apply them consistently. Now let me share with you the most important part of upgrading your brain software, the daily programming routine. Over many decades of studying highly successful people, I discovered that almost all of them follow some form of deliberate mental conditioning every single day. Success is not an accident. It is the result of consistent mental programming. Your brain, like any advanced system, becomes stronger and more effective when it is trained daily. If you leave it unattended, it defaults to comfort, distraction, and familiar habits. But when you deliberately train your mind, you activate extraordinary levels of focus, clarity, and productivity. So let me walk you through a simple routine that you can begin using immediately. The first step happens the moment you wake up. The way you start your morning programs your mental state for the entire day. Most people begin their day in reaction mode. They check their phone, scroll through news, absorb other people's problems, and immediately allow outside information to program their brain. But highly effective people do something different. They start the day with intentional thought. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is take control of my mental environment. I deliberately choose empowering thoughts. I remind myself of my goals, my opportunities, and the progress I want to make. Your brain is extremely impressionable during the first moments of the day. Whatever thoughts you feed it at that time begins shaping your mindset for the next several hours. So instead of feeding your brain worry, distraction, or stress, feed it direction. Ask yourself powerful questions like, what is the most valuable thing I can accomplish today? What action will move me closer to my biggest goal? How can I make today meaningful and productive? These questions activate your brain's problem-solving ability immediately. The second part of the routine is mental input. Remember earlier when I told you that your mind becomes what it consumes. This is where that principle becomes incredibly powerful. Spend at least 30 minutes every day feeding your brain with high-quality ideas. Read books that challenge your thinking. Listen to educational material. Study the habits of successful people. Every page you read installs new mental code. Every new idea expands your thinking, and the cumulative effect over time is extraordinary. Many of the most successful individuals in the world are constant learners. They treat knowledge as fuel for their brain software. Now let's talk about the third daily programming habit, goal review. Your goals are instructions for your brain. Without them, your mind drifts between distractions and random tasks. But when you review your goals regularly, you keep your brain focused on what truly matters. I strongly recommend writing down your major goals every day. Write them in the present tense as if they are already achieved. I am building a successful business. I am becoming healthier and stronger. I am creating financial independence. When you write goals this way, your brain begins accepting them as possible realities. This activates motivation, creativity, and persistence. And over time, your brain begins organizing your behavior around those outcomes. The fourth part of the routine is action. Thought alone is not enough. Programming must translate into behavior. Every day, identify at least one action that moves you closer to your most important goal. It doesn't have to be massive, but it must be consistent. Small daily progress compounds into extraordinary results. Think of success like compound interest for the brain. Small improvements, repeated consistently, create massive transformation over time. If you improve your thinking by just 1% each day, the long-term effect becomes remarkable. Now here's another powerful practice that upgrades your brain software dramatically: reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to review your actions. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. What did I do well today? What could I improve tomorrow? What lesson did I learn today? These questions strengthen your brain's ability to learn from experience. Highly successful people are not successful because they never make mistakes. They are successful because they extract lessons from every experience. Your brain becomes stronger every time you reflect and adjust. Now let me share one more mental upgrade that most people underestimate: gratitude. Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It is a powerful mental programming tool. When you deliberately focus on things you appreciate, your brain begins scanning how environment for positive experiences. This creates a psychological shift from scarcity to abundance. Instead of focusing on what is missing, your mind begins recognizing opportunities and resources that are already available to you. And this shift dramatically increases motivation, creativity, and resilience. In fact, many psychological studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly experience greater happiness, stronger relationships, and improved mental health. Now think about this for a moment. If you combine positive morning programming, daily learning, goal clarity, consistent action, reflection, and gratitude, you create a powerful mental operating system. You transform your brain into a focused, solution-oriented, opportunity-seeking machine. And when your brain operates at that level, your results naturally begin to improve. But let me be completely honest with you about something. This process requires consistency. Upgrading your brain software is not something you do once. It is something you practice daily. The good news is that once these habits become installed, they begin operating automatically. Your brain begins seeking improvement. Your mind begins expecting progress. Your thinking becomes stronger, clearer, and more decisive. And when that happens, something amazing occurs. You begin seeing possibilities that other people overlook. You start acting on opportunities that others hesitate to pursue. You develop confidence because your brain has been trained to focus on solutions instead of problems. Over time, people may look at your life and say you were lucky, but you will know the truth. Your results are not luck. They are the product of better mental software. So I want to leave you with one final thought. Right now, at this very moment, your brain is listening to every thought you repeat, every belief you reinforce, every habit you practice, and it is installing those patterns as your future behavior. So the real question is this: what kind of software are you installing today? Are you installing doubt or confidence? Are you installing procrastination or discipline? Are you installing fear or courage? Because the programs you install today will shape the person you become tomorrow. And once you truly understand that, you realize something incredibly empowering. You are not limited by your past programming. You are the designer of your future mind. So starting today, take control of your brain software. Feed it powerful ideas. Challenge it with meaningful goals. Train it with disciplined action. And watch how your thinking, your behavior, and your entire life begin to transform. Now I'd like to hear from you. What is one mental habit you are going to start today to upgrade your brain software? Write it in the comments below, because making a public commitment increases the chances that you will actually follow through. And if this message helped you think differently about your mind and your potential, make sure you share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Your brain is the most powerful system you will ever operate. Upgrade it daily, and there is almost no limit to what you can achieve. Brain,